few days ago, just right here, it says give in. I'm kidding. Mayflowers has been our series, and if you have questions about anything related to the sermon series or things that are opening up spiritually in you, just start completing this as I shall review and bring us into a deeper understanding of the message we've been working on. And it's entitled Mayflowers. And just affirm with me as we've been affirming throughout, I shall have my Mayflowers, so help me God. I shall have my Mayflowers, so help me God. And we have used Mayflowers as a metaphor to describe what happens after we move through a process of evolution, a soul evolution. We talked about being in a gestational process last week, that we're conceiving something, we are gestating something, we are birthing something, we are delivering something, we are celebrating something, but we are in one of those stages at any given time, yes? And so we recognize that in order to fully have our Mayflowers, we have to develop a kind of patience with life and with ourselves in order for that which is to be, to become. Have you realized that you cannot speed up maturity? You can't press the fast forward button on to mature somebody. Have you realized that? You cannot hurl someone's way of compassion and development and contribution, their sense of sensitivity in the world. You can't just force that along, can you? We have to allow them to move through their various experiences in life. And what happens, those experiences start to shape, form, and transform us. Is that how it happens? Yeah. Have you ever said the statement concerning someone? They'll learn. Have you ever said it? Did you say it recently? And so we got to say it with ourselves. That's what this series is about, being willing to say, I'll eventually learn what I have to learn, so that I can be who I'm meant to be, and so that I can, have what I am meant to have. And one of the distinctions around this, is having an understanding that in order to have our Mayflowers, and our Mayflowers are really our date with destiny. Everybody say our date with destiny. That the whole of life is conspiring to squeeze out of you that which has been pressed in you, that you are here to evolve what has been involved, you're here to express what has been impressed. Life is conspiring to press you into the place and space where you belong, and because we are being pressed there, we don't have to struggle voluntarily. Did you hear what I said? Life is already working on you. Come on, say, work on me, life. Work on me, life. Struggle is resisting what life is trying to reveal in us. Ever been in a struggle? And I'm in the struggle because I am often resisting the way that it is, because the way that it is showing me what I need to learn in order to go to my next level. And so what happens is when I resist, I create a wall. Resistance creates what? Come on, A. And surrender opens a window. Say, when I resist, I create a wall. When I surrender, I open a window. You see how that feels energetically different within you? So now coming into today, the take on this message is entitled Bloom Where You Are Planted. And the primary thought with this is there is no there that you don't bring there, because everywhere you go, there you are. Did you hear what I said? There is no there that you don't bring there, because everywhere you go, there you, come on, are. Sometimes we have this sense in which that if I go there, conditions are going to be better. So I take myself somewhere believing, without changing me, without changing my attitude, without changing my disposition, and I go there thinking that something over there is, come on, better over here. And what I do is I get over there and find me over there. Have you realized that? And so the message is saying, bloom where you are, come on, planted. Bloom where you're planted. Because right where you are, you invited yourself to be here. And so since you invited yourself to be here, might as well get it all. Tell somebody, get it all. Tell them again, get it all. I shall never forget when I relocated to Sacramento and I called one of my dear friends thinking he was going to celebrate with me. Now don't anybody take offense to what I'm about to say. He said it. You're moving to Sacramento? Yes. California? Yes. He says, Sacramento, California? Yes. He says, don't you know that's the armpit of California? I said, well, it's about to get deodorized up in here because I'm bringing me to it. That's all I got to say. Come on, say, get it all. Bloom where you are planted. Wherever you are planted, you are there for a particular purpose. And so I want to make certain that where I am, I understand why I'm there. Now, there's some distinction to point out here. We have to understand the distinction between being planted and buried. Did you hear what I said? The distinction between what? Being planted and buried. The conditions are similar. The intentions are unalike. To bury something is to cover it completely, to cause it to disappear or become inconspicuous. Often related to discarding with something that is over. We bury it. And this can be the way in which we are relating to life, because circumstances come that don't feel so great. And if our consciousness is oriented toward things are burying me, that's another definition of bury. Another definition says that which overwhelms beyond hope of recovery. Overwhelmed by life. And so life is not happening for me, it's happening, come on, to me. And so I have this consciousness that life is happening to me, so life is burying me. I'm not planted, I'm being, come on. That's the consciousness of some. And not only that it becomes the consciousness of some, that's the conversation of some. You do know you speak your consciousness. It is better to appear wise and say nothing than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. You got to learn how to do the look. Who knows that look? Inwardly, you're saying, I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know. But outside of yourself, they have no idea that you don't know what they're talking about. Are you with me? So are you planted or are you buried? There's a consciousness thing related to that. There's a perspective thing. I want to watch how I speak about my life, because I am announcing with a buried consciousness for people to line up with shovels. Did you hear me? And they're not coming to dig you up. They're coming to throw more dirt on you. Just got it? To plant means, hear the intention, to set in the ground for growth. Did you hear that? To do what? To set in the ground for what? For growth. Very different intention, same conditions, but I got a different intention. Is that not what the scripture says? What you meant for evil, what about it? God meant for good? When I am planted, I am there with the intention for growth. When I do premarital counseling with couples, one of the things I ask them is, well, what is your intention with coming together? Besides sharing expenses and irritating your parents who were totally opposed to the idea to begin with. Who knows about that? This is a quick story. I'm just going to slide this one in here. I'm counseling this couple. We are working on their vows and getting them ready. And as they are before me, they are speaking why they are there together, why they want to be together. And they start talking about their why. And one of the persons pulls out a whole thesis. And it was all head stuff. It was all, this logical and analytical. It had nothing to do with love. And I sat there, I'm going, wow, this is going to be short-lived. They insisted, listen, been there, done it, watched it. I wish I could have a what do you call it? Reality show. Just put a camera in my office sometime and see what. So I could perceive that they were not connected really around the same. He was all, and I love her, and I just want to, he was just gushing and so forth. I said, you know what, I would clarify my intention about this marriage and really come together both from head and heart. I think that's what I would suggest. And then come back when you both can align together in this way, right? They insisted. We want to be married. And they rented this fabulous 5-star resort. And I didn't mind the weekend there, Go ahead and fly me out. I love it. Rev Kev is coming. They put the number to room service right there on the pillow. I don't mind all of that. But they got before me. I'm performing the vow, performing the wedding. And it was time to exchange the vows. And he said his, and I love you, and the world, and the stars, and the galaxy, and the moon, and earth, and life rises and sets on you, and there's no one more. And he just went on. He was Romeo all day long. And she broke out this thesis in front of everybody, just started reading it. 407 years ago, our forefathers brought forth a new nation. I mean, it was like that. And the energy in the room and everybody was like, I mean, when I say they spent $100,000 on the wedding, I mean they spent $100,000. I said, y'all might as well party hard tonight. Get it on out tonight. 6 months later, they're back in my office. You know what the 6 months later was about. We just don't think this is going to, work out. They unwed. They annulled the marriage or whatever you call it, and they went on with their lives. 6 years later, they got it together. They're married today with children. Look at God. But the point of that nice, juicy, delicious story was more than to stand here and gossip about folks. But it was really about being intentional, setting an intention, being clear about why you are doing what it is you are doing, so that when you are in the midst of the seeming dirt of life, your perspective can alter it. And so having an intention turns dirt into soil. Did you hear what I said? What does it do? It turns into, you get the difference? Powerful distinction, right? What is my intention? So I always encourage the Gary Zukav definition of a marriage to couples. Become spiritual partners. What are spiritual partners for? A partnership between equals for the purpose of spiritual growth. A partnership between equals for what? The purpose of spiritual growth. We are here more than to enjoy our company. We are actually here to help each other evolve and grow. You get the difference? Isn't that a powerful way to enter any relationship for that matter? You don't have to get married to do that. And growing is not always easy, is it not? Huh? Especially if you feel buried, right? 2, real quick. Our philosophy determines our trajectory. So it is important that we move through life with a guiding philosophy for our lives if we want to indeed bloom where we're planted. I believe that it is important for us to become tough-minded optimists, to have a mindset of optimism, one that states that everything happening in and around my life is working out for my good, no matter what the appearances are. Can you say it with me? Come on. Everything that is happening in and around my life is happening for my highest good, no matter what the appearances are. This is not to say that we are impervious to the appearances, that the things that are going on in our lives we are not aware of. That we can't have feelings about things. Anybody have feelings? Yeah. When things are hard, do they make you sad sometimes? Do you get angry sometimes? But the tough-minded optimist does not allow those things to have you. Say, I have my feelings. Come on, I have my feelings. But my feelings don't have me. Come on, say again, I have my feelings. But my feelings can't have me. And your feelings can't have me either. Did you hear that? Have you ever seen somebody get mad because they're mad and you don't want to get mad with them, so you refuse to get mad with them, and they're upset because you won't get mad with them? I'm going to stand over here and be all happy while you work that out. I control the weather over here. Come on, say it with me. I control, come on, the weather over here. We have to learn to withdraw our attention from other people's negative energy. We can love the people, but we can excuse ourselves from that energy, can't we? And so having a perspective of optimism makes a huge difference. And I think it is the philosophy, really, of determination. Optimism is determination. Firmness of purpose. Resoluteness. Say it's all good. Come on with me. It's all. I'm clear about that. It's all good. Is that, though, is that you're firm and resolute inner commitment about your life. When it is not, then like mercury in a thermometer, you will be mercurial, wishy-washy, fickle, and not rooted where you're planted. Carried by the wind. So I want to invite you into a story. Can I end this with a story and then take some of your questions? Would that be all right? Who likes story time? This story is called The Optimistic Seed. Give me a little story music, story time music for the people. Bring in the cookies and the milk for the people. No, they'll be attentive. Those of us who like stories. This is a book that I wrote during the pandemic. And I wrote it for children, but it was really written for me to help me get through the pandemic. Say to yourself, what comes to me is for me. I might have passed it off for the children, but it was really for Rev Kev. You understand that, right? But I thought it would be appropriate to share this little story with you. And I hope you can find yourself in it this morning. Once, there was a seed. Point to yourself. He's talking about me. Say, he's talking about me. Once there was a seed carried by the winds upon unfriendly lands that refused to let it in. Yet over time, with steady grind and without fuss or argument, the searching seed did succeed and found a place to nest. For daring roots that pressed a path of stone and sand and clay, worked in the dark and then in light, rooting night and day. No earthen predator is foe, nor scorching heat doth maim. This creature of unyielding faith treated every inch the same. This creature of what? Come on. Unyielding faith treated every inch the same. For deep within this stubborn seed a secret had been told, a secret which it did receive embedded on its soul. It never knew it couldn't, never told it should not try, was never made to fear the wind, in fact, was dared to fly. And fly it did through distant winds and landed on its own. Its ignorance, yea, innocence, braved and made itself a home. Now, most of you can't see this, but I thought I'd show you anyway. The coarse and unfit terrain, the dense and callous scene, had no effect to reject the optimistic seed. For wet was found deep in the ground. Where was wet found? Deep in the ground, that quenched its longing thirst. For just the scent, it would not relent or alter its newfound course. How often do we get down there and stop searching because we think we're buried? Say, I just need the scent of water. Come on, just give me the scent of water. Just the scent of water. I'll find it. Down the ancient path it went, grasping the sediment, and with its lines it grew wise, yet would soon forget the rigors of burrowing in concrete and in coal, the blisters it was carrying from scraping against the road. But what it could remember, what it did account, spun silky roots to timber, turned seed stuff into mount. And mounted did an upward climb on path it once did stoke, and hungering for light and sky, the seedling turned to oak. Ascending in the heat of night and breaking into day, its newfound suit was made for flight and holding on to clay. Then stretch it did past alpine heights through airy clouds and starry nights. There rested in the open day a full-grown mammoth tree of solid trunk and majestic branch and clear identity. A force within the forest, a sight that couldn't be unseen. The envy of the florist was famed among the trees. And when at last a raven passed and nestled in its leaves, it queried the oak, who then awoke and relished the hazy breeze. A simple word, asked the bird of how it came to be. The oak then spoke and did invoke the secret of the seed. I trusted the wind to carry me to places high and low. I feared no dirt could bury me, so planted there my soul. For every oak was once a seed that fell upon the ground, and some were gobbled up in greed by creatures roaming round. And there was I beneath the sky, gazing through the leaves, and caught the sight of ravens' flight, and there gave birth my dreams. To touch the star, to touch the sky, to kiss the stars, to perch the lofty clouds, to greet the sun, to grasp the moon, to peer above the crowds. And then and there a friendly voice spoke with clarity, prophesied through whisper words a simple truth to me. You will greet the sun each day and kiss the skies above. You will hug the rainbows and live a life you love. You will grasp the moon each night and tower among the trees. The secret of my soul was shown if only I believed. Believed in what I dared to ask, the voice that spoke to me. Yourself, of course, it is your choice. These skies belong to thee. For from the start within your heart for heights you once did dream, you wrestled with yourself, dear seed, for oak you were indeed. Born to host the winged ones, their dens you would receive. Your secret power for why you tower is known among the trees. You believed, acorn, what was foretold for countless centuries. To seeds like you who seldom do root beneath the breeze. You claimed your ground, you earned your crown, a giant to be seen. You can't play small, you now stand tall, for you were born worthy. The end. All right. I've got time for a few of your questions now. Bring them on up if you have some. Did you see yourself in the story at all? Any acorns in the house becoming mighty oaks? Acorns becoming mighty oaks? Where are my acorns in the house? Yes, yes. Are we optimistic? I love sharing that. How about the voices? And every oak was once a seed that fell upon the ground, and some were gobbled up in greed by creatures roaming round. Okay. Close family member believes God. I'm having a little difficulty. Close family member believes God led her, to take back an abusive husband after his 4 years of prison. I haven't been able to forgive him. How do I apply my spiritual walk? Divorce yourself from that toxic family. You see, sometimes we have in our ear relatives who are not kin. Did you hear what I said? Repeat after me. Your skin folks, come on, say your skin folks may not necessarily be your kin folk. Your skin folk may not necessarily be your kin folk. And those that are kin with you, that are those that are kind with you. They are one with you, and they are holding your highest good and greatest joy, and they would never urge you back into a situation where you are being abused, even for financial security, even for the kids. Do you get what I'm saying? When someone is holding your highest good and greatest joy, they would not imprison you under any circumstance to anyone who is not for you. Whoever is in your life, family, blood, or non-blood, make sure they meet this criteria. They are both with you and for you. Say it with me, come on. They are both with you and sometimes they're for themselves. And what do I mean? Trying to live vicariously through you to correct what they didn't get right. So I would liberate myself, and Jesus gave us this example early on in life when he looked right at his mother and said, "Don't you know I must be about my Father's business? Now listen, I know you're my mother and everything, but I've got my own assignment here, and so I can delineate clearly my views from yours, my health from yours." Are you with me? And this is just having a high practice of self-love. And so from a spiritual perspective, I would saturate myself in a high sense of worthiness and self-love, get filled with this idea so that you become vibrationally unaligned with unhealthy individuals disguised as friends and family. All right? Part of bringing life back to the campus includes our spiritual development classes. When can we expect a class back on campus? Look at God. This is a good one. So in the fall, everybody say the fall, we're all going back to school. And back to school includes a new partnership with our Unity Urban Ministerial School. We will not only be bringing classes to you here for those individuals for your own spiritual growth, but that for those of you who would like to teach and be ministers and prayer chaplains and so forth, we are bringing a robust activity here for Unity of Sacramento. So get ready, it's happening in the fall. Wish to remain anonymous. I'm going to shuffle it so we come back to that. All right, I'll read this one first. By the way, you can remain anonymous. This question says, how can I move forward in life? I almost want to ask you to stand up and tease out a little bit more of where you feel, where you are. Sometimes forward is not the direction that you need to go in. And throughout Scripture, we hear the master teacher speaking, or God speaking through the lips of the master teacher and others, be still. Be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. This idea that the answer that you are seeking is within you. Not lo here nor lo there. The kingdom of God is where? Come on, within you. Not lo here nor lo there. The kingdom of God is within you. And the realm of ever-expanding good is within us. And so sometimes it's not about moving forward or backward, left or right. Sometimes it's about getting, come on, still. I thought I needed something, but I really needed my connection with God. How many of us can say that that's what we think we're seeking? Often we're seeking something, somewhere. And it's nothing wrong with that. But how often are we seeking a greater connection with omniscience? All the wisdom that there is, all the intelligence that there is that's planted right down in our souls. So moving forward might be turning within. Closing the distractions and engaging in a process. If I can get anybody to accept this one, get it. If I can get anybody to get this, that the Spirit is always speaking to you. It speaks through impulses, prompts, signs, and visuals outside of you, other people. It is always there. You are never without guidance. The question is, are you and I listening? And then if we hear, are we obeying? So it may not be about moving forward. It might be about, turning within. This questioner says, Coleman 1234. This is the optional name here. Says, when was unity created, and how long have you been a minister of the church? This particular unity was actually founded over 100 and now 3 years ago. It was started as a study group here on K Street, downtown on K Street. And it was called the Home of Truth at that time. It was called Home of Truth. So we've had many names over the course of the history of this church. And then in about 1945, this church was officially chartered. So the study group evolved and became chartered, a chartered church organization as a part of the Association for Unity Churches Worldwide. And at that time, we became Christ Unity Church. And 12 years ago, I was the minister. I became the minister here. Actually, now we're in the first part of the 13th year. I became the minister here. And we've had another name change, which is now Unity of Sacramento. I think that was a great question. How do I raise a spiritually healthy black boy in our country? Model it. Model it. So as an African-American man, working on my own spiritual health, working on what comes out of my mouth, my attitudes, my ways of being, and my practice sets an example. Someone said, you can't be a man if you don't see a man. And so there's something about my personal carriage that the son connects with. Why? Because indeed he is my son. And so encoded in my son is an aspect of, myself. And indeed, when he sees me, he sees a little bit, of himself. And so I want to make certain that whether we agree on everything or not, whether we are in harmony with everything or not, that he sees my resilience, my devotion to our family, my commitment to our community, me standing up for things that matter, my willingness to place a fence around our home and cause there to be privacy and safety for our family. Do you get what I'm saying? In other words, he's picking up what I'm putting down, even at the subconscious level, because the spiritual umbilical cord is connected to both father and mother. Never will be cut. Never will be cut. And so it's how I move. And then at the appropriate time, we have the important conversations with him. I let him know that, with those looks and that intelligence that you have moving out into the world, you're going to be highly eligible for everything you dream of. Are you hearing me? You've got the Ross on you. Those sorts of things. Let him know that doors will be opening for you And you have to have the discernment to know which one to walk through. Are you hearing me? That everything you see is not for you. And if you don't see it, it doesn't mean it's not for you either. Are you with me? Model wisdom and show forth. Don't hide your spiritual connection. Let him see it. Let him see you pick yourself up from struggles. They need to know that life is not always easy. And don't bury him in the stereotypes that life has about black men. Have him have the spiritual immunity to those things. You know, I think I told you the other day that I was walking across the platform here, parking lot, and this guy started calling me the N-word over and over again, and I was having a conversation with someone. Well, Rev, you weren't mad? I said, no, I don't identify with that at all. I don't know who he was talking to. He doesn't decide my identity. He's projecting his own. Are you with me? He's got to know who and what he is at all times. Let him not leave home without his spiritual ID. Well, I would have taken him out. I would have knocked him in the mouth. Well, those are all the stereotypes about black men. They're violent. They're reactive. They can't. Do you understand? No, that's not who I am. I had compassion for the man. I was like, you look like somebody's grandfather out here acting like you're some street thug. You know, go get you some family time. You know what I'm saying? Somebody give the brother a hug. I got to know who I am. Do you get what I'm saying? And inside of that, my son will see that. And he'll make his own choices. He'll make his own choices. I think that was a really good question. Give them some love and appreciation for that. How is social justice related to my spirituality? This is a great one. And to God. I think love, because that is really the heart of our teaching here, is to truly embody love. Love acts courageously in the face of injustice. And injustice is the exclusion of others to access to what we all should share. Are you with me? Dr. King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so it becomes the natural course of event of someone who is moving through the spiritual transformational process to care deeply about the society in which they live and to take action toward, as Mohandas K. Gandhi is credited with saying, becoming the change we wish to see. That at some point, I put myself in the narrative for the changing of history, for the changing of conditions. The first time I was in the narrative was when my little brother, we used to live on the south side of Chicago, and they didn't care too much in our neighborhood to have stop signs and stuff like that, you know? And so cars would fly off of straight from the expressway, straight down the street, and so many of our friends and relatives were getting hit. And as a 16-year-old, me and a friend of mine, I said, you know what, we're tired of this. My brother got hit on that street. We went and petitioned our neighbors in the rain, getting signatures in the rain to say, hey, you all need to put a street sign up here. And we turned those petitions in soaking wet to Alderman Shaw, I believe it was, in the 9th Ward in Chicago. Turned them in, sir, and said, people are getting hit. Do something about it. And we had all the signatures of the neighbors saying this was so. About a year later, I'm coming home from school, and as I'm coming home from school, people are slowly coming out on the block. They're coming out to the front. He said, here he comes, here he comes. And they're coming to the front of their yards. And here he comes. Here, he doesn't even know. And they're coming out, and I come, as I walk closer and closer to my house, I'm getting the slow clap. You know about the slow clap. You know? And I'm like, what, who? You know, at that time, Michael Jackson was everything to me. So I'm like, Michael Jackson's been around, you know, something like that. And so, no, the street sign, the stop sign is there. The stop sign is there. And that stop sign is still there all these years later. And, you know, I was 16 at the time, so that was about 4 years ago. So it is being moved by a heart full of love and a soul generated by grace to adjust the world to reflect the values that you say you hold. So if we can take off the labels like social justice, we may not be fearful of it. I just want a world that works for everybody. It's as simple as that, and I raise my hand to have that happen. And I become the person it takes to accomplish that. Yes? It's that simple. All right, I think I'm at the last question, and I appreciate your questions. Is this helpful? Yes. Okay, how do we deal with interference of negative emotions like anger when we are planted in the ground and visually optimistic, and usually optimistic? I feel such shame when my consciousness shifts to feeling buried and I let myself be angry. You don't have to be ashamed of your anger. You just got to train it. Did you hear what I said? Don't be ashamed of your anger. Train it. Everything that is in you under your dominion. That anger belongs to you, does it not? Then train it. When I get angry, I use it as fuel. Say with me, my anger is a renewable resource. Come on, say it again. My anger is a renewable resource. I can take this anger. Have you ever done anger cleaning? Oh, you can get some good cleaning done when you're mad. I have cleaned these, if they don't pick up after themselves, and I'm just cleaning. And looked up and cleaned the whole room, the house, reorganized the garage, mowed the lawn. Come on, train your anger to do something good with it. Can't be a victim of your own anger. You can do anger cooking. You know what? That's all right. Forget about it. I know they grown. They should be able to cook for themselves, but I'm just going to go ahead and fix it anyway. Eventually, they're going to see and appreciate all that I do around here. Who knows what I'm talking about? Do something with it. Repeat after me. My anger is a renewable resource. Sometimes you have to take it to the streets and march with it. I was angry when I learned that they were still separating children from their parents. I have ancestors who lived that life, watched their children be sold on an auction block. And then in 2020, learned that the federal government had a policy and practice of separating children from our southern border from their parents. Well, I was angry about that. And so 1,000 of us went down there and told them, not on our watch. Come on, say with me, not on our watch. Oh, I'm not going to tear you down, but I'm going to tear this system down. Not on our watch. This is not the world that I'm going to be living in. Not on my watch. You can do some anger, social justice change in the world.